Okay, as I was explaining, we were surrounded by the North Vietnamese soldiers. That was July 22nd, 1970, and they came in at 12:30 in the afternoon, which is very unusual for them. But they felt that they had us because we were in their territory. We were about a mile and a half away from Firebase Ripcord, which I was explaining. Firebase Ripcord there, a mile and a half, or a mile and a quarter. We were in the jungle, and we walked right into them. And the battalion commander had called the Captain Hawkins. Captain Hawkins was a very, very good soldier. He was West Point. There's his picture right there, if you can see it. But he's a West Pointer, and so was my Lieutenant Lee Wojciechowski. And Lieutenant Lee Wojciechowski had got the order from the Lieutenant Colonel Lucas, who was on Firebase Ripcord. Captain Hawkins said, "You need to split away and try to diversify yourself." This was very wise, what he said. So everybody got all of their gear on and everything. So when we got hit, everybody had their gear on. They were ready. But they told my platoon, 2nd Platoon, to go over to the right to the next knoll. There was a knoll near the section where we were at. We had a night end defensive position, but the knoll was about 150 feet away. And we started to walk towards there. So the 2nd Platoon, which is my platoon, which we only had about 18 or 20 guys. The rest of the company, remember, there was only 76 people. So the rest of the company was divided between about 55 or 56. And so when we got hit, the first 2 platoons got hit. We were over on the knoll, and we heard everything that was going on. The lieutenant wanted to engage with them, but we couldn't do that because the NVA had got between us and the other two platoons. So Charlie Company, the other 2 platoons, Alpha 1 and 2, were over there, and they were on the onslaught. Many of the men died. There was, out of 76, 56 were wounded, and 12 died. The next day, another guy died of wounds. The next day, which was July 23rd, 1970. So the enemy came in with loincloths. They had the sapper units came in and threw satchel charges. Fortunately for us, not all of those satchel charges worked. And for some reason, they didn't have the good gunpowder. They had black gunpowder, which was, and I think that's the reason why it didn't seem like it was exploding as well. And some of them didn't even go off. But during this confusion, the Buck Sergeant Sergeant Brown, Johnny Brown, he was about 6'1.5" or 6'2", and he wanted to take a look and see around. He shouldn't have gotten up. He got up, and he was real close to me, within a couple feet of me, 2 or 3 feet, and he was looking around like this. But the NVA got a bead on him, on the side of his face. They shot a AK-47 round through the side of his face and the other side, and took out part of the jawbone, and it started bleeding. Fortunately, it didn't hit the carotid artery. So he came down, he was bleeding profusely. me, the medic. He was saying, "Doc, doc," but he couldn't talk very well. But by God's grace, I was there with my medic pack, and I got some dextran to put in his vein to take care of the loss of blood that would make him enough so that he didn't black out. But he had times when he said he thought he was going to black out. And so by the grace of God, he made it through that. And the next day, he was still alive. And they thought, man, wow, Doc really did a good job. No, I called on the Lord to help me. That's all I could say. I did what I could. And so the other two platoon medics and the other two platoons that were out there hit head on. The other two platoons by the NVA were killed. And I was the only other platoon medic. There was a CP medic with Captain Hawkins. That CP medic got wounded. And this whole thing lasted 4.5 hours. This whole battle with us. And so everybody was being wounded and shot. So 56 were wounded, and then, like I said, 12 killed, and another guy died the next day. By God's grace, though, I called on his name. I called to help us, and he did. He helped us. And 2nd Platoon, we stood our ground on that knoll, and the NVA couldn't get us. Everybody kept their head down. Another soldier that I have to talk about is Tom Schultz. Tom Schultz was a really good guy. He was from Pennsylvania, nice guy, good guy, and he actually had an M16 that jammed. Now I'm trying to find a picture of him, which I'll show you in a second here. He actually had one that jammed, and he came back to where we were. He was on the edge of the perimeter, and he said, "Hey, does anybody have a rifle that I could use? My M16 is jammed, and I can't get it unjammed." And I said, "Use mine. I got enough wounded people around me." So I gave him my rifle, and he took it to the edge of the perimeter, and he was watching for NVA. And what happened was he actually was during one of the times when the NVA sappers started coming up, somebody had shot Thomas Schultz, and unfortunately he died there protecting us. And God bless him. He's a hero. He got a Bronze Star. Really good guy. And so actually a number of guys got Bronze Stars, including myself. I got a Bronze Star with a V for Valor. A lot of people did. And then the other guy that died in our platoon, in 2nd Platoon, was Specialist Robert Jornell. And this is a picture of him right there. I don't know if you can see it or not. But he was from South Carolina. God bless him. He was a Southern boy, and he and another NVA had a face-to-face within 7 feet. He was behind a stump, the NVA, and Specialist for Robert Jornell, when he came out of behind the stump, the NVA, he would shoot at him, and then the NVA would go back, and then we would it just kept going back and forth. We threw a couple frags down there, but to be honest with you, it lasted a long time, and the NVA, I think that there was more than one back there. But what happened is we had F4s and Cobra helicopters coming in at that time. So we had to pop our green smoke. And when we popped it, they came and on the edge of that green smoke, they dropped bombs. The F-4s were dropping 250-pound bombs and some 500-pound bombs. When they dropped the 500-pound bomb, many of the men were complaining that their ears were ringing, including my own, and I do have a disability for that, because my eardrums were pretty much damaged. And the guy one of the soldiers, Bill Mulvey, he got wounded in his back. Bill Mulvey and me were very good friends. Bill Mulvey was from Pennsylvania, and he did survive out of there too. And he was wounded in the back, and I had to take a look at his wound, and his wound was bad. And but not as bad as some of Johnny Brown's and some of the others. And another guy, Tony Galendo, his name was Tony Galendo. He actually got shrapnel from one of the bombs that was, we think that it could have been from the rockets, but we're not sure. Or it could have been a grenade, or it could have been, we don't know what it was. It could have been a satchel charge, one of them that did go off by the enemy. But in actuality, he did live. But he had a slice on his face, sliced open. There wasn't anything I could do other than give him some morphine, and because you can't put a bandage on somebody's face when they're breathing, you know. I mean, he's breathing, and you can't keep it on there correctly. So in actuality, he did make it out of there, Tony Galendo. God bless him. And so far, we haven't seen him at a reunion, but we will. We will see him at a future reunion in 2022. And also some of the others too that never made it to reunions. We have reunions every year or two, and we had to, in 2020 we had to cancel the reunion. 500 or 700 guys were going to come. We couldn't make it because they canceled it. And now 2021 came and they canceled 2021. But in 2022 we're going to have it again, and those that are still able to come will come, and we'll tell stories and talk to people how things are going. And it's a blessing to go to those things, because one of them that came during the last 30-40 years was Chuck Norris. He came because we were one time, I think it was right around South Carolina, we were honoring his brother Waylon Norris for Walking Point. And his mom was there. Chuck Norris's mom, when she was alive, was there. Chuck Norris's wife was there with him. And I had the chance to talk to him, Chuck Norris, and tell him how brave his brother was. Unfortunately, we cannot save his brother because he needed a immediate operation, and we couldn't do that in a jungle, of course. He had to be taken out, and he couldn't be taken out of the jungle at that time because it was a 4.5. It was just terrible, but anyways.
Well, Martin, hate to interrupt you, but this is going to conclude this episode, okay. And we'll have episode 2 coming up. But just tell us a little bit about this painting that we have in the background.
Yes, my son-in-law is a artist, and I told him if he could. His name is Garrett Cloth, and he married my daughter, whose name is Deborah, and Deborah is a nurse. She's a nurse at the hospital. And I said, Garrett, give me a picture of some army men. And here he is. He did. This is a different type of artistry. This isn't the artistry that you really take a picture. He did it in little squares, which is very hard, and it took him a long time to do. But his 2 army men in the jungle, going forth on the path, just like we went on the paths, and you always had to watch out for the booby traps and things of that nature. So that's about it.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And again, thank you for joining this episode, Network Alliance for Veterans, and we'll see you soon. Godspeed and take care. Thank you again.